time to react to what went down on Conference Championship Sunday. So another thrilling OT game. Bengals come back again, just like in Week 17. So what stood out to you in this one, Geoff?
Just that the Kansas City secondary isn't very good. And the Chiefs secondary is actually a lot better than I think people realize. Look, they made the play at the end of the game, right? The Chiefs win the coin toss. Everyone, the crowd was basically, the crowd was like, we're going to the Super Bowl. We won the coin toss. We're going to the Super Bowl. The game's over. I think some people actually left and bought Super Bowl tickets. But the Bengals secondary, man, this is a very, very good unit. And they made the plays where it counted. And they're probably going to have to do it again against the Rams because, the Bengals offense is in a tough spot against the Rams, D-line there, and their O-line is still getting up a ton of sacks. So to me, Joe Burrow overcoming his offensive line difficulties was, again, another huge theme in this game. But the other huge theme is that the Bengals defense, especially in that secondary, probably not getting enough credit. Kansas City's still going to be great for years to come, but man, they've got to be able to plug these holes on defense. They got through 1 year and won the Super Bowl without doing it, with just a kind of a mediocre defense. They've got to find a way to improve that secondary.
Pearce, what do you think?
Some people scoffed last week when I wanted to talk about Evan McPherson as the first person to mention. Yeah, it doesn't matter in DFS, but if you are betting on the Bengals, if you're playing the money line for the Bengals, Evan McPherson once again helped you cash a nice paycheck. And I would just continue to ride Evan McPherson as long as you can. Also, if we're talking about betting cards, Patrick Mahomes with that interception as predicted. Bengals covering the spread on the road once again. They're going to be underdogs again on the road, so you might as well just keep riding that. And the other takeaway is that Andy Reid should be fired. Not kicking a field goal at the end of the first half was one of the worst coaching, if not the worst coaching calls ever. Not only did they need those points in the end, but you allowed the Bengals to believe in themselves. The Bengals were done. It was over. Reid choked. Mahomes choked again. That's another game that he has lost. He's got great stats, but when it comes to winning the big ones, Mahomes might be one of those guys.
That's ridiculous. He didn't choke last week.
What did he do in the second half?
Whatever.
He lost a lot of yards when he tried to run it.
Can you put some of that on Mahomes there at the end of the first half, though? Seeing that it wasn't there, the play wasn't there. Could have easily spiked the ball, saved a second, then kicked the field goal.
He thought they had a timeout. If you watch that play, after he throws that pass, he tries to call timeout. That's how out of it he was. He didn't know they were out of timeouts. That's a terrible move on his part.
Look, I agree with Pearce's take that, Andy Reid screwed up the game in a lot of ways. And the play calling at the end of the game, too, when they were down to the 4-yard line, what are we doing? Just run the ball, take it down to the 2, and you get one good shot there. But I don't know, calling Patrick Mahomes a choker, it's a little bit out there. This guy has performed. He does have a Super Bowl win.
Did they win the Super Bowl last year?
He's brought his team to the AFC Conference Championship 4 years in a row. I don't know.
But yeah, so he chokes a lot.
I love Monday mornings, especially Monday mornings in which Pearce Dietrich is calling for the head of Andy Reid. How about the Rams, though, guys? You want to talk about second half. They completed another second-half comeback, as did the 49ers. Of course, they were struggling offensively the last two quarters. What did you take away from this one, Pearce? Does anyone deserve to be fired?
Jimmy Garoppolo.
Yeah, I think both the coaches are pretty bad. Both the coaches on this team are not good. I said last week, heading into the conference championships, that the power had shifted. It was no longer about the NFC. It's the AFC. And I was right. That was an ugly game. The same thing is we know Shanahan's going to choke. We get that. But McVay is not a good coach either. This team is sloppy. It's inconsistent. They can't execute for 4 quarters. We saw that again against the 49ers. They couldn't beat Jimmy Garoppolo. Jimmy Garoppolo's intended air yards per pass was 5. You know what he did? He threw 5 to 10-yard passes over the middle of the field the entire game. Everyone knew that was what he was going to do before the game, and the Rams still couldn't get to the quarterback, and they couldn't shut down these meaningless passes. They almost lost to an average 49ers team. The 49ers' luck finally ran out, and the Rams were able to win this game, but these teams did not look good. I think the Bengals are going to win for sure.
This is the lowest seeded Super Bowl in
Yeah,
NFL
no 1 or
history.
2 seed.
No, it's 2 4 seeds here, Geoff. What did you think about the NFC Championship game? Like, what was your biggest takeaway there?
You mean you don't have a Cincinnati Bengals LA Rams ticket, Emerson? I mean, what are you doing? I thought you were like the sports guy here.
yeah.
How about
Come
this?
on.
The Bengals.
So
The Bengals at
embarrassing.
one point had the same Super Bowl chances as the Jacksonville
Jaguars.
Jaguars, right? That is crazy.
Makes you LOL.
That's all Emerson. Emerson is going to post that on the top of his bed over the offseason, just like it's our turn. It's just going to give it's hopium for next year for Emerson. Look, we may have disagreed a little bit on the last one. Everything Pearce said, I pretty much 100% agree with. Kyle Shanahan gifted a win to the LA Rams. The Rams were beat in this game. They were toast. A dropped interception, and then Kyle Shanahan not going for it on 4th and short. I mean, you give credit to Stafford and Cooper Kupp. They took the opportunity, and Cooper Kupp continues to produce. But these teams are not good. Absolutely. I mean, the LA Rams have been very, very inconsistent. They're riding a wave of they got some good opponents. They got some good luck not having to go through Green Bay. Like, how lucky is that? They would have gotten trampled by the Packers, in my opinion. So, yeah, I'm very big on the Bengals this week going forward. And I do agree with another thing he said, the balance of power here. We were all talking about the NFC. Oh, the NFC is like better. Like there's like 5 quality teams. No way. These teams, not so good. The 49ers blew a chance to go to the Super Bowl. I think they were still the actual better team. But, you know, when you have Jimmy Garoppolo as quarterback, you're not going to get those comeback late drives like, you know, the Kansas City Chiefs did against the Bills. So, yeah, the Rams, I don't know. They're an up and down team. They could still come through. Maybe the Bengals gift them another lucky win. But, man, like the Rams really were lucky to get a win there.
All right, well, we got to talk about this. I mean, immediately after the game, this was the question on everybody's mind. We're talking about Jimmy G. So Garoppolo has led the 49ers to the conference championship twice in the last 3 years, but they did draft Trey Lance. And like most indications are that Jimmy won't return to San Fran, but all he does is win. I mean, the record with him.
It may not be pretty.
Yeah, but he does win. We saw Stafford change teams, help turn the Rams into a contender. So if the 49ers do move on, do you think Jimmy G can bring another team that just needs a little upgrade at quarterback to the conference finals or to the Super Bowl, Geoff?
Oh, maybe the Patriots?
I mean, this question it's kind of ridiculous, right? I mean, obviously
I didn't write
Jimmy
it for the record.
three playoff performances in a row, basically was carried to wins by his defense. No, I mean, I don't think he's going to change the fortunes of a team that's just like slumming low in the standings. Now, we've seen teams with bad quarterbacks win. I mean, the San Francisco 49ers were like 1 interception away from going to the Super Bowl with Jimmy Garoppolo. They already brought Jimmy Garoppolo to a Super Bowl. So could Jimmy G, you know, perhaps get on the right train, maybe get with like an elite defense again, kind of like Peyton Manning did in his later years? Sure. I don't even hate Jimmy Garoppolo that much. I mean, I think he's like a better version of Andy Dalton. He's got a quick release. When he's been healthy, he's okay. The problem with Jimmy G is he's over 30. He's not healthy because he gets banged up every year, and he was really he's super banged up down the stretch. He's had major knee reconstruction surgery. Like, how many good years has this guy left? He's on the downturn of his career at this point, and he really hasn't played that well for 2 years. So, no, I don't think he's going to help anyone. He's probably going to slot into a team like Jacksonville and, just ride out some pine time or something. I don't know.
All right, Pearce, do you have a brighter outlook for Jimmy G or no?
No, it's much more bleak for Jimmy G. The guy's got nothing left. When he was healthy at the beginning of the season, he still could not spread the ball around the field. We know this about Jimmy Garoppolo. He's very limited in what he can do. There's just no value added here. Maybe if he was on an elite team with a bunch of weapons, he could go to the conference championship. But if you have a bunch of weapons around him, then what are you doing putting Jimmy Garoppolo as your quarterback? Go ahead and get a decent quarterback as well. I mean, anyone could slot into the San Francisco offense and do basically what he did. I think Trey Lance may have given them a better shot if they just would have tried and seen what he could do if he got more opportunities. But Garoppolo just doesn't have it. He can't move the ball around the field. Maybe he gets a Panthers or a Jaguars team close to 500, but he's not going anywhere near a conference championship game ever again.
All right, the Rams, guys, are looking to become the second team in a row to win a Super Bowl on their home turf. We saw Tom Brady and the Bucs do it last season. How real could home field advantage be for Super Bowl week, Geoff? Or is
Keep in
this
mind, this is the Rams Stadium.
Yes, yeah, and is this
So
a?
they've
or is
never
this more-
really had home field advantage.
No, they really haven't. But or is this more of a myth?
I think that, it's an interesting thing because I think it mattered a lot more last year with Tom Brady and the fact that, we really didn't have like full stands. And then they got to play in Tampa Bay, which is realistically like the Buccaneers and is a big thing in Tampa Bay. I mean, that's a team that they don't have split fan bases. There's not a bunch of outsiders just coming into to Tampa Bay just for like a weekend. It's a completely different situation in LA. I mean, I don't think home field advantage is a big deal at all this week, and I don't think it's going to matter at all. I think you're going to see a ton of Bengals fans there anyways. And I mean, again, we talked about this last week with the 49ers coming to town. There are more 49ers fans in the stands for the game than there were Rams fans in some of the meetings between these two teams. So, no, I don't think home field advantage is as big a deal this week at all. And I think it's something that will get brought up. And I think you may see it reflected in the betting odds as well. And I think maybe that's part of the reason why this line opened at +4. You might say it stay there. I mean, people just go buying into this all of a sudden, like the LA Rams have this huge advantage. No, it's Los Angeles. Like, it's fair weather fans everywhere. There's going to be tons of people flying in because it's the nice weather. I don't think it's going to be a big deal at all this week.
All right, Pearce. Rams favorite on paper. Yeah, you nailed it. Don't worry. But as much as like the NFL sells the Rams, it's like being this big supermarket team. Like they don't draw that emotional investment.
Well, yeah, that's what it is. They're a market team. That's the only reason you have teams in LA. It's there for the market. It's not for fans. Everyone knew this years ago. They've been in LA before. They're back in LA and they're running the same problems. LA is not a football team. They're not going to fill the stands. And even if they are popular, it's just going to be celebrities in the crowd. That's during regular season games. We know that the Super Bowl is just going to continue to be that. So there's not going to be any sort of advantage in the stadium. Maybe you could play the angle of, well, the Bengals are going to be at the Super Bowl and maybe they'll get distracted. But these teams have this down to a science now. They know what to do, how to prepare, how to prevent, offensive linemen from having meltdowns the night before. If anything, it might be a distraction or disrupt LA with the circus coming to town. Yep. 2 weeks of Super Bowl coverage. They're going to have friends and family probably staying at their homes. This actually could hurt the Rams more than
I think it absolutely hurts the Rams. I think that's a great point. Yeah. I think it's a completely different situation than it was last year.
Yeah, the Buccaneers, I mean, COVID was going on, so you didn't have everyone flooding in probably to Tampa, causing all those distractions.
Okay, well, the Bengals are in the Super Bowl for the third time. So this is just the beginning of the Joe Burrow era. Yes, Could we see Burrow and Chase year after year and challenge Montana Rice as the top postseason combo? What do we think, Pearce?
Yeah, I think so. And let's throw T. Higgins in there as well. Before Jamar Chase showed up, T. Higgins was a pretty solid number 1 wide receiver. Boyd was a halfway decent number 2 to 3 receiver. They've got plenty of weapons. They've got to improve the offensive line, but I imagine we saw players in free agency during last offseason want to come to Cincinnati to play with Joe Burrow, and that was before the guy had done anything. I can't imagine that people are going to shy away from signing with the Bengals. They're going to improve that defense. It's going to be Burrow and Chase, but they're going to add plenty of parts along with it.
All right, Geoff, what do we think?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing about Joe Burrow. We're all worried about him at the start of the year. The Bengals don't have an O-line. This guy's going to get killed. Nobody was better under duress this year than Joe Burrow. I mean, in 8 yards per attempt under duress this year. His average quarterback rating, the highest in the league under duress. And you saw it in the Chiefs game as well. Like, what was he doing? Escaping sacks, running all over the place. He's more athletic than people realize. And obviously now that he's further recovering from the knee injury. So, the Bengals will eventually address this O-line issue. But, Joe Burrow's still young. He's still healthy. I don't think it's going to matter that much because he's so good under pressure. Yeah, this duo is here to stay. There'll be ups and downs. It's the NFL. People get injured and teams go through bad spells. But you also got to like that they're attached to a coach in Zach Taylor who just seems to, he's survived some really bad seasons there. You don't see coaches often go through that. I think that's a really a big sort of feather in the cap of a guy like Zach Taylor. He's clearly liked by the players. You've never heard bad things spoken about Zach Taylor from Joe Burrow, who could have thrown him under the bus at any time. He's basically the leader of that team. So I think there's a very good situation forming in Bengals. Go buy your, Super Bowl tickets for the next 10 years. You're probably going to win a couple.
Dude, no quarterback has won a Heisman, a national title, and a Super Bowl, and Joe Burrow has a chance to do all three within a 3-year window.
Unbelievable.
It
That's
is
insane.
unbelievable. And so is what we saw yesterday with some of these offensive dudes in the Rams game. Now it is time to name our Super Fantasy Player of the Week, presented by Supercuts, and that honor goes to Cooper Kupp, leading the Rams to the Super Bowl with his 11 catches, 142 yards, and 2 touchdowns for a 40 DK fantasy point game. The question is, will Cooper Kupp repeat next week as Super Fantasy Player of the Week when it counts the most on the biggest stage? Or will we see a Bengal maybe take the cake this time, Geoff?
Yeah, I think we will see a Bengal take the cake. I mean, I think Cooper Kupp's going to have a good game, but I definitely think that there's room for a guy like T. Higgins to potentially pop up. And I like the fact that Pearce brought him up. People just seem to forget that T. Higgins exists in this offense. He was a huge factor against the Chiefs, catching some balls over the middle. And again, he's going to get the secondary coverage. Everyone's going to be concerned about Jamar Chase in that game. T. Higgins, I think, going to be a pivotal play. And I like the Bengals, so I'm going to take a Bengals player. I'm going to take T. Higgins as my Supercuts fantasy player of the game for Super Bowl, 2 weeks.
What do you think, Pearce? Will it be Cooper Kupp again, or will another dude claim the title?
It will not be Cooper Kupp again. He'll have one of those 20 to 25 point games, but that won't be the best game. They're going to put double coverage on him. I mean, he can beat. You cannot put the guy in man-to-man coverage. He will destroy you, as we've seen the last couple weeks. Bengals don't blitz. They'll have him in double coverage all game long. Joe Mixon, 100-1 to win the MVP of the Super Bowl last week. I'm going to stick with that play, and hopefully he finds the end zone a couple times and ends up the Super Bowl MVP and the biggest fantasy producer.